All right. So we want to welcome everybody to our very first Real Life Connections conversation. We're so happy that you guys are here. And for our first conversation today, we have David Solano with us. I'm so excited for you to meet him and learn about his story and what he does for his community. He is a father of two beautiful girls, a husband. He teaches public school and he coaches basketball as well. And he is also the nonprofit president of Solano's No Limit Hoops. So we're so excited to have you, David. I'm really appreciate being my first person today for marriage. So you start off, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself so our viewers can learn a little bit about who you are.
Okay, well, my name, of course, is David Solano, like she just said, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. And arthrogryposis, I don't know much about it, to be honest. I don't think it defines who I am because I know all the kids I work with and all the teachers that I work with and everybody that I work with on a daily basis don't even know the word arthrogryposis until they see it in videos or in stories. They don't even, I'm just as normal as everybody else is. And my thing is, I'm a very big community advocate in my neighborhood. And so I created a program to help keep kids off the streets and to keep kids motivated to do good. And so we call it No Limit Hoops because my thing is I'm teaching kids to live with no limits in their life. Doesn't matter if you have a disability or the neighborhood you come from or the color of your skin, we're teaching them to live with no limits so they can go and change the landscape of their family.
That's awesome. How long has No Limit Hoops been around?
It's kind of weird. So I started thinking of the idea about 22 years ago when I was working with a bunch of young kids. And I've been a school teacher for 22 years now. I'll be in my 23rd year in the fall. And these kids were like, they were arguing in my class. I'm like, what are you guys arguing about? And they were like, well, his team beat my team. And I'm like, you guys go to the same school, you should be on the same team. And they're like, no. And so I was kind of dumb. And I said, I'll hop you guys in the summer. Summer came and I started coaching them. And I'm like, it's kind of fun. But then I realized that a lot of these families couldn't afford to pay for the fees. And I was like, man, we got to figure this out, guys. This is kind of expensive. Mm-hmm. And so then little by little, I started creating this basketball program, but I didn't have it wasn't an official program. We just kind of, one summer would be Solano's team, one summer would be No Limit, one summer would be the Cougars. I didn't have an idea on how to create something bigger. And then in my community, about 6 years ago, there was a random shooter going around and shooting people in the neighborhood. And it really bothered me because the shooter was identified as a 22 or 23-year-old. And I was like, it's not really his fault. It's the environment that he grew up in. He had no leadership at home to help him out. Mm-hmm. So then I said, we got to create a program for these youth between 15 to 20-year-olds to help get them off the street so they have something good to do. So then they'll finish high school, and between 18 to 22, they'll either start community college, or even getting jobs. And it'll stop having them from getting in trouble when they're on the streets at the age of 22 years of age. So I went on a 3-year mission to different politicians and to different people in the neighborhood, different community leaders. And after 3 years, I finally created Solano's No Limit Hoops. So it was a journey to create. It was tough, but what was great was opening night when we have all these kids showing up. Kids that I worked with in 1998 were showing up now as adults. Kids that I worked with a long time ago were bringing their 5-year-old kids in to check it out. They wanted to meet me because now they knew where I was at all the time. And so all of that builds community within our community, and it helps them all understand, wow, Mr. Solano, Coach Solano helped these kids do good. Maybe he'll help me get to that next level. And so that's kind of how Solano's No Limit Hoops started in a long story. Sorry.
That is awesome. No, that is so cool. I love that you started that program. What's your passion for basketball? Where does that come from?
I love sports. My true passion, and I know the basketball kids who watch this will be mad at me, is my true passion is football. Oh, I love football more than anything in this world. I plan my fall around football season. I won't do basketball program during football season because it's my time of rest and my time of getting intense about football. But my passion from basketball, I love sports. I liked football, but I couldn't play it. I didn't know if I was ready to strong enough to play it at one time. I was really good at basketball.
Gotcha.
And my dad was a huge basketball fan, and we watched a lot of games and went to a lot of games. And so I just started learning basketball. And when those kids were arguing in my class, I'm like, I'll coach you guys. And I had to go on this learning thing on how to coach basketball and how to coach a group of kids.
That's awesome, though. And what do you teach? You're a public school teacher as well. Do you teach a certain grade?
Yes. This year coming up and last year, I taught 5th grade science.
Okay.
And I taught 4th grade for about 10 years and 2nd grade for about 11 years.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, I love your program. I think that's really a neat program. And obviously the kids love it as well. So hopefully the football comment doesn't go too far from our video. But I'm going to switch a little bit. So I know you have arthrogryposis. I also have arthrogryposis. And since it's our awareness month, I wanted to ask a little bit about, kind of what life was like growing up with a disability and things like that. So did you ever experience bullying as a child, or did you ever go through bullying at all because you had arthrogryposis, or was it not really a thing at all?
I don't know. Maybe I was too naive as a kid about bullying about it, because I was a pretty loud person, and I'm shy in general. I'm shy in nature, but yet in my own settings, I'm going to be loud and demonstrative. And so I never really experienced bullying from other, like my peers in classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a kid every now and then might say something, but it wasn't too demeaning and I could laugh it off and we'd all laugh it off. So I don't really remember being made fun of a lot. I know as I went into the workplace and into college and into the coaching world, that's where I ended up with more of the bullying. I wouldn't call it bullying, but it would be like I can't think of the word right now. But they just they didn't have high expectations of me, and that was a little different. Now as a teacher, the expectations were normal. I applied for a teaching job and I got it the second I applied. They were like, "Oh, we're happy to have you here."
Right.
A funny thing is, a cool story about this is in 1980, when I was entering kindergarten, I wasn't allowed to go to my neighborhood school in kindergarten because of arthrogryposis.
Really?
But in 1998, I graduated with a teaching degree and I got a job at my neighborhood school.
Interesting. Was there a reason why? Was it access that you weren't able to go in kindergarten, or?
There was I went to an independent. My mom and dad sent me to this a rehabilitation center called School Rehabilitation.
Okay.
And they were the ones who made me they gave my mom and dad the tools to make me a fully independent person.
Gotcha.
But as you know, as a 5-year-old, you're not fully independent anyway.
Yeah.
And there were 3 things I couldn't do, and the principal made me do like an abilities test, I guess.
Wow.
And there was 3 things that I couldn't do. It was like open a milk carton, tie my shoes, and button my pants. But I wore sweatpants, I wore Velcro shoes, and I didn't even drink milk. But at that time, it was a different era than we are in now.
That's right.
And my mom fought for 3 years before she finally got the principal removed.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a 3-year battle. I went to another public school still, but it was way far from my neighborhood, which was kind of weird because all the neighborhood kids already knew me because we were all growing up together. Going to a different neighborhood, these kids didn't know what I was. So I was a little bit different looking to them.
Right.
Or in my neighborhood, I was not different looking.
Right.
And so it was different. I was a little kid. I didn't really understand it until I was older. My mom told me the whole story.
That's a really neat story, though. I think it's really neat how we learn, at least for me, I think we learn a lot of our advocating skills from our parents, because when we were little, they fought for everything that we needed. And then when we grow up, we're like, okay, I got to be like my parents. I got to be, I'm ready to fight. Like, I need the same rights everybody else does. So I think that's so neat how you kind of take those same characteristics and use them, when you become an adult.
Yes. And I like how for like the younger ones, like you and like people who are 20, like 30 and under, maybe even 35 and under, how you guys have more abilities with more rights and more laws that are in place. I know they're not perfect yet, but they're still in the right steps, where in 2010, there's no way they would allow me to be not allowed to go to public school.
Right.
Where in 1980, it was more acceptable and it was a 3-year battle, where now nobody wants to have that battle anymore.
Right. Right. No, I definitely agree. That's true. There's still things out there that need change, but it's really neat how over the years you can really see the progressive change, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
It just means more people are being heard, and it's becoming more, of an everyday thing, and it's becoming more normal, if you want to call it that. So I think that's pretty.
yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So how do you currently get around? What types of like assistive technologies do you use, or do you use any devices or anything to kind of help make life a little easier?
I do not use any. I do not use any assistive technologies besides my wife, and that's only if I want to scratch my head or if I have an itch on my back. If I have anything else, my wife's like, "Go get it done," and I'm like, "Oh." 4 or 5 years ago, I did lose the ability to walk though. I
Okay.
was I was at a concert. It wasn't arthrogryposis related. It was me being dumb. I ordered handicapped seats, and all my friends used to make fun of me for ordering handicapped seats at concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in my chair, and I went to the concert by myself because my wife was 8 months pregnant,
Uh-huh.
and it was like 112 degrees that day. So I'll go by myself. It's outdoors. And I was moving my chair over to sit in between the two people in front of me, so I could be between them because
Uh-oh.
you already. So
Yeah.
I pulled up my chair, not a wheelchair, just a regular seating chair, to sit in between two people. And I did that. My leg, I guess, got stuck under the chair, and it popped out. My kneecap popped out, and I messed up a bunch of ligaments. And as I went to rehab and therapy and all the other good stuff, my leg just kind of quit working. And the doctors are saying now it's the brain quit telling my leg to take a step because of fear of pain. I still work out every day. I don't work out as much as I used to, but I still do a lot of stuff with it. So
Mhm.
the only technology or assistive stuff that I use is a wheelchair to get places, but I don't let the wheelchair come into my house. I
Okay.
just use different chairs in my house to get around. I I have a desk chair that I use around in my upstairs living room, and I just cut off the back so I don't so it's like a barber chair almost, or
Oh,
like a
okay.
stool.
Yeah.
And so I use my feet to get around. I hardly ever have somebody push me in the wheelchair. And that's the only thing. Other than that, like my daily living, I drive a car with no help. I do everything. I mean, I can kind of tie shoes, but most of the time my daughter ties my shoes, or a kid in my class will tie my shoes.
Gotcha.
But they come untied. But with newer shoes now, they have the little extra footing inside their shoe to grab your foot, so
Mm-hmm.
you can just leave your shoes loosened, and they hold your foot in them anyway.
That's really cool. You had mentioned something about, oh my gosh, oh, your stools and not taking your wheelchair into your house. I think it's really neat how we're really able to come up with like creative ways of just using our own household items that are ways to make assistive pieces. I think that's really an easy way to come up with, solutions that make it easier for you, but still give you as much independence. You did mention your car. Do you drive your car with any accommodations, or is it just a regular car?
No, no accommodation. I've never drove a car with accommodations.
Okay, that's really cool. I just posted my video today about my car, and mine looks like a space age spaceship. So
Oh, I
that's cool
saw
that.
that today. I was like, that's cool looking. That's a cool thing. One thing I did notice, I've kind of weird. I've had the same car for the past 13 years now. I bought it with like 2 miles on it, and I was all happy. And now it's like up there in age, but it's 13 years. And so this summer I went to, or this past February I went to Florida, and I had a rental car. And before I say that though, my wife and I bought the same cars. So I don't drive, I only drive the same vehicle for the last 13 years. And when I went to Florida, I rented a car, and this guy gave me this really nice Dodge Charger. And I was like, oh, a Dodge Charger. I'm like, this is cool. I'm gonna have this for a week. And it was totally different for me to drive. It took me a couple of hours to get used to it. But I guess I can drive any car in general, because the Dodge Charger just took me a while to get used to the shift gear. The shift was a little bit higher up than it was in the Scions.
Uh-huh.
But it's just when you drive the same car for 13 years, you get stuck in your muscles. All get stuck in the same routine, the muscle memory.
Yep, exactly. That's really cool. So this video is going to be seen by all kinds of people all over the world. And you have such a can-do, like, I got this kind of attitude. How do you keep that positive attitude? Is there something that you do to kind of stay motivated and just keep going every day?
What motivates me is it's my mom. When I was born, the doctors gave my mom all these no's that I couldn't do, that I wouldn't be able to do in my life. And she took me home and said, "You're going to do this. You have to do this because they said you can't." And so for me, I'm the main character in her story. Yes, I'm my own individual person, but she's not here anymore. So I have to live out her story. And her story has to end on a positive note. And if I can help other people understand that it doesn't matter what people say to you or what your circumstances are, you can still achieve, well then that gives me another day to live. Another day to go and attack somebody and work with them on how to get better. Like, I work with some kids on my basketball program. One of them had no dad, mom in and out of jail, grandma was not really a leader in the house,
Mhm.
and that person now has a master's degree
Wow.
because of the work that we put into them. We have a lot of kids who have come to our program that they were coming from horrible homes. One of them is now an Army Ranger. Like, we were changed. That helps me drive to work on the next kid, because those kids that we helped inspire should have been either dead or in jail, and we've put them in a new part of the world where their kids will now have a better chance at survival. And that's kind of what drives me every day, is which kids next are we going to work with.
That's really awesome. I think what you do is phenomenal and it's motivating to me. And I think that's really great. And I can't wait to see what else comes out of all the work that you put in, especially for the kids, because I think that's a great place to start. Kids are always so inquisitive and curious about what's going on. And the more we can shape them and help them to experience life, it's just so amazing. Before we go, I don't want to keep you too long, and I know you aren't technical issues since I'm not very good at this technical stuff. Is there anything you'd like to share that I haven't asked, or is there any piece of advice you could give someone who may be unsure of how to approach somebody with a disability, or not really sure, feeling uncomfortable, or something like that, just to make it feel and more like
I
everybody's
lost
together?
I lost the last part of your statement.
Sure. So, one, something either that you haven't shared yet that you'd like to share, or two, is there something that you would like to share with somebody who may be feeling a little apprehensive or uncomfortable when they come across somebody with a disability, and kind of how and what they can do to not feel that way, or something you can share that would bridge the gap between in and out of disability, since that's what Real Life Connections mission's all about.
I One thing that I think, for a person with a disability, we have to learn about the power of yet. The power of yet is huge. I know it's a simple 3-letter word, one syllable, but there's things that I couldn't do when I was 5. And my mom and dad would tell you, you got to keep working, you got to keep working, you got to build your muscles. You can't do it yet. You can use the word can't in our house, but you have to follow it up with the word yet. I can't open my soda right now. No, I can't. Oh, you cannot open it yet. That changes the mindset, because when you're working with something and you say the word can't, your brain starts to shut down and it quits looking for ways to figure out how to accomplish the task. But when you add the word yet to it, then all of a sudden your brain's like, oh, we got to find another way to do it. Just like when I'm teaching math and the kid's like, I don't get it yet. I don't get it. I can't get this. It's too hard. No. You don't get it yet. In time, you're going to get it. Today is day 1, we're learning this. Tomorrow's going to be day 2, we're learning it. It's going to start to click, but you have to give it a chance. You have to say, I don't know it yet. And I think that's what, for people with disabilities, we have to look at that power of yet as something that really triggers our brain to start using more often, because we can't get stuck in the rut of, I can't do it. Yes, you cannot do it now, but you'll do it in time if you keep working. If you sit under the tree and don't try doing anything, you're not going to do anything ever.
Right.
But if you keep working, you're going to be at that point that you want to be at. It may take a month, it may take 3 months, it may take 5 years, but you'll be there eventually, and with that mindset of the power of yet.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think positive mindset is so important because there's a lot of things that, you get really discouraged, and it's really easy to get discouraged, especially with, everything going on in the world and seeing things on TV and just watching other people succeed. You're like, man, I'm just never going to get there. But that simple word is so powerful. Just adding yet to the end that's really powerful. I really like that. So I definitely appreciate you sharing with us today. I'm super excited to see what everybody thinks of our conversation, and hopefully it brings more people to help support both your organization and just to learn more about everybody and make those connections across the world. So I thank you again for being part of WheelLifeConnections, and I am connected. You have a YouTube channel, so I want to make sure people subscribe to your YouTube because you have some phenomenal messages you give out on YouTube. What's your YouTube handle?
Right now it's Solano. I don't even know the name of it. I just threw it through my email. I don't know, but I will send you the link to my website I just finished creating.
Perfect.
So you can share the website. The website has a video page that all the kids can or people can click on the videos, and it has all the videos in the correct order that they can go through.
Perfect. Well, we will definitely do that, and we will share away. Thank you so much.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, of course.
Hold on one second. Oh, here's my daughter right here.
Hi.
This is my older daughter. We get the daughter. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna show you something real quick before you're gonna edit this, right?
Sure.
I was gonna put something out, but I didn't think about it until right now.
That's okay.
Where are they? One should be there.
No, it's not.
Okay, go ahead.
So one thing is, if you come to our gym, to our Solano's No Limit Hoops, and if you're the champion for the night, we create a champion for the night. So right here, they get to walk around with our Solano's No Limit Hoops championship belt, and
Nice.
they do a video like they're the champions of the world, and then they walk in, and they're like, we're the champs. Come back next week and try to beat us. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. And we believe we are making champions in our neighborhood.
That is so awesome. I love that.
Yeah, they're cool. We have 4 bouts. So they play 4-on-4 basketball, and they have 4 bouts. And at the end of the night, they cut a 20-second promo and talking about being the champs. And it's bragging rights for the night. And then they come back the following night and try to defend their championship belts.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's my little gimmick, and the kids totally love it to death right now. So you give an 18-year-old the belt, they go crazy. We give it to a 13-year-old, and they go crazy. So you can't go wrong if people are laughing about it and having a good time with it.
That's so true. That is really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really love that. That's neat. So all right. Well, I think that's it for us for today. I do definitely look forward to connecting again. And we will see if anybody will open it up and let anybody, if they have, questions or want to get a hold of you, I'll make sure they have your information as well.
All right.
All right, David. Well, thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
You're welcome. Thank you.